Hey guys, this is Renae. I am bringing this episode to you as a tribute and in honor of a special friend, Mr. Austin Williamson, who we lost in December of 2024. If that name does not sound familiar to you, I know it's impossible to know everyone that loves the Dave Matthews Band, but I was so lucky to get to meet Austin several years back at a show while I was traveling to see the band and really just had a connection with him. He was a special soul who loved this band with everything that he had. He was an amazing musician who could... The way he played the drums was amazing, and the fact that he could sing at the same time was something that I always told him tripped me up. To have the coordination to not only play the drums but to sing at the same time was something that always really just stood out to me. And I know a lot of drummers do it, but Austin was just really incredibly talented. Last year, I traveled to Denver with a couple of girlfriends just for a mini vacation weekend. And I let Austin know that I was coming to Denver because he was living there early last year. And I picked him up at his house and we hung out. We did some tours of some weed processing plants. I mean, we had a blast, and really getting to invest in him and who he is. And when you spend time with someone like that, there really is more of a connection, because it's not just surface anymore. It's talking about family. It's talking about what your goals, your dreams are. And so last month we lost Austin. From what I understand, he was on an e-bike in Galveston near the seawall. And unless I have not had all the details, the EMS or the police found his body. I think the family has released that it was some kind of a bike accident, and there was some head trauma. And by the time they got him to the hospital, they pronounced him dead. When I got that news, of course, anytime you get that news about death of a friend or a loved one, or even sometimes a stranger that you know was making a difference in the world, your heart sinks. And I know that feeling. You know that feeling I'm talking about. It's one that just kind of makes you skip a beat in your breaths, and you feel a heaviness on your chest. And that is what I'm feeling right now with the death with Austin. Austin was a great friend to this show. He was on the 14th episode of my show that I've been doing for 2 years. And then he would often call in and do a voicemail to just talk about whatever topic we were talking about. And so hold on to your listening. I am going to attach his full episode to this so that you can hear this amazing spirit in the way that he lived, in the way that he loved this band, in the way that he loved music. So stay tuned for that full episode. After that episode goes off, stay tuned, because I have attached the voicemail that he called into one of our shows. And so this will give you a way, if you never had the chance to meet Austin Williamson, this will give you a way to check out, again, another reason why this band has just been changing hearts and changing lives for over 30 years. Austin was in his late 20s. He knows that this music has been, or he knew that this music had been alive longer than he had. And that's something that really connected him to the music and gave him a lot of comfort. And he really wanted to believe that the music of the Dave Matthews Band would continue into the future longer than him. And so now that he is gone, and we all will be gone one day, this is just yet another reason to keep reminding people of the music of the Dave Matthews Band and the hearts that have been changed because of this music and the lyrics and the community around this band. And so in honor of Austin Williamson, I dedicate this special episode to him. Rest in peace, Austin. I know that I will see you again. I know your heart. I know that you love the Lord, and I know that you are in heaven right now, celebrating and playing the drums with all the angels. So guys, stay tuned for Austin's special podcast and his voicemail. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Space Between. Today we have got episode 14 for you, and I have a special surprise. I have a guest, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, and really I'm going to kind of let him take over the show this week. So, Austin, take it away.
Hey, Renae, and hey, everybody. My name is Austin Williamson. I live in Denver, Colorado. I've been playing music for about 20 years, and I got into Dave probably only about a decade ago. And I was fortunate enough to see them in Phoenix this last weekend, and that was my 56th show.
Do you always have planned to go to Phoenix, or was it a last minute, like, I'm going to go?
It was very, very, very last minute. So I got a call from one of my buddies, and he had told me that he had a ticket for me, and I had a voucher for Frontier Airlines. So it all kind of worked out in and of itself. So it really happened in about 12 hours. I mean, I woke up, and of course I wanted to go. And
of course,
all of our friends are going to be in Mexico and everything. So I wanted to go. And then my buddy kind of called me after that and was like, look, I've got an extra ticket if you can get down here. And I'm like, all right. And so it happened. I get there, and it's not the first time this has happened to me, but I ended up in the pit somehow.
Of course you did, Austin.
Yeah, me and Dave were hanging out. Flavor Flav was right there. It was pretty nuts. I've never been to Phoenix before. My first time in the city. I loved it here. 72 degrees versus 18 in Denver, which when I left, which is fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, it's a really cool community. It's a big challenge. A lot of people here. And so when I first, before the show, I had a few drinks. And I was just kind of aimlessly wandering around with my pit wristband, and I saw there was a security side with no one there. There's nobody in line. There's just the employees. And I was like, sweet, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to walk right in. And so I go up, and the guy checks me through, and he's like, how you doing? I'm like, good. And then I go into this strange stairwell as soon as you walk in the door, and I'm like, what's going on here? And there's a guy walking by me, and I'm like, hey, how do I get to the pit? How do I get to GA? He's like, well, upstairs is the parking garage and downstairs is backstage. And I'm like, huh? What do you mean? And so let me apologize in advance to everyone. My voice is sore.
You have a really good reason. Yeah, you have a really good reason.
I knew it the whole time I was doing it too. I was like, I have to be on a podcast this week. I'm screaming. I'm still screaming. But yeah, so I walk in, and he said backstage is downstairs. So me being curious, I took a trip downstairs, and sure enough, man, I could see it was private parking, and I should have lied, Renae. I should have been devious, but I wasn't. I walk up to the guy. There's just one lonely security guy down there. He's like, what's up, man? And I'm like, hi. Nobody has asked me for any identification or anything yet. And I'm like, can you tell me how to get to general admission? I just want to go to the pit. And he's like, wait, you don't work here? I said, no, man, I don't. And right there in that moment is when I should have took the blue pill, I think.
Absolutely.
I should have been like, yeah, I'm Dave's masseuse,
Yeah, whatever it took. Whatever.
Some body work done before the show starts. Yeah, but I mean, got into the pit, ran into just a lot of wonderful people there. Marty McKinney, Chris Terranova. Big shout out to those two guys. Saw Ridge Richter for a little while. And just, as you know well about this community, is it does turn into a family. And I'm so grateful. These concerts are more than just concerts for me. And I could probably speak for a lot of us by saying that, you get to surround yourself with people who get it, who kind of cope with life the same way that you do. And it's a beautiful experience, especially, I'm at the airport, by the way, everyone.
Yes. Headed back home.
Going to Mexico. Just kidding.
Oh, yeah. Don't you wish? Would that not be amazing? And I wonder how many people are out there that did Phoenix first on their way out of the
There's
country.
quite a few of them.
Wow.
I ran into a few people that were going to Mexico, and I was like, can I fit in your bag, please?
Can you just stick me in your bag?
Yeah, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. Not this year. I do plan on going next year, though. for the first
I
time.
would love to. It's just the dollar signs.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous,
right?
man. And I'm a musician. I'm a local musician in Denver. I can barely afford Denver, much less Mexico.
It's ridiculous. Now, I can see where it would be like even thinkable if that included airfare, but it doesn't. And so it's just.
And is it full? Like, does that include food and stuff once you get there?
Yeah, food and drink is from what I understand. So you can drink as much as you want, eat as much as you want, all the stuff. So
drink bill might be $4,000 by itself, even if I didn't have to.
So see, you're saving money.
Exactly.
Because it's all you can drink. Okay, so back to Phoenix. Now, I saw a little bit of rumble on the internet about how they changed the pit process, I guess. And do you know anything about that? I know that you got into the pit a little bit late, but did you hear anyone speaking about what they're doing? And can you kind of explain what you saw or what you heard?
I can't tell you much, but I did hear some grumblings from people. I know that, and it could have totally been what I'm thinking it had everything to do with the Super Bowl, and like everything was a little different, because like Fenton's light rig was not there unless they're doing something super basic this year, so there are a lot of their own kind of processes and event staffs weren't the ones running the show. So I think that might have been why it's a little different.
Sure.
But I believe people went and got their wristbands like normal, like the numbered wristbands. There was the other reason that made me think it was not a Dave thing is because they're just normal wristbands. They're not like the usual cool pit wristbands that people get for the Dave shows. It's just a piece of paper, which is awesome. Anyway,
it can be awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome for me. Anyway, I got that out. No, I don't care. But so from what I understood, they went and got. It was like it was 1 or 2 o'clock. I think people went and got their wristbands, and then there was a break. People were allowed to come back, so they got numbered wristbands, kind of like the Gorge.
Yeah.
And then they came back, and I believe they lined up from a random number like they usually do. I didn't hear anything too crazy besides kind of some little details of how they were handling stuff. I don't think it's anything for us to have to anticipate in the future.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I saw only good comments and people that were hopeful that it would continue through the rest of the season. Of course, I have no clue what was done. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the heck it could be.
It would be nice for them to somehow find a way to perfect that, but I don't think there is any way. I mean,
I think we can all see that with the, and I think perfection is unattainable with a lot of our crazy ass man group.
Yeah,
and
you could give us the rules, and we aren't going to remember.
I mean, look at
5 seconds.
Look at the ticket process right now. I mean, there's there's a lot of things that are supposed to be better that people wouldn't necessarily say they are. I don't really have an opinion on it, but
I have.
It's always fun. I love the chaos, man. I love it. I love watching everybody freak out. I love watching all you guys yell at each other on the Facebook pages. It's so fun. I love it, man. Love watching it.
So it's so crazy. It's just so crazy. So any other last thoughts on, does a part of you wish that because the Super Bowl has started officially. Well, it's not started.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
Are you? Does a part of you wish that you were staying back in Phoenix? Are you a fan of either of the teams?
So Jalen Hurts he went to a high school called Channelview High School in Houston, which is it's in a pretty poor community, and I've had a couple cousins that have gone to that high school and graduated from there. So I'm a Birds fan today. I'm a Houston Texans fan though, so I just watch baseball.
Gotcha.
Because my team doesn't do so well in the football games. But
gotcha.
I mean, I was talking to a couple of KC fans that just got on a plane actually, and they had jerseys on and everything. Like, what the heck are you guys doing? Why are you leaving? And they were like, one lady was like, I came here for a Dave Matthews concert. I was like, what? And we talked about that.
No way.
Yeah. And they said they were looking at staying, but flights tomorrow, even on Frontier, just one-way flights are about $800. They said.
Oh yeah.
Coming out of
I know that because I don't think for a second I didn't check to see how much a quick flight would be. Just like go to the concert, come back. But it was the coming back that was so I'd be coming back today and that Super Bowl day or even tomorrow. It's just it wasn't financially smart.
Yeah, I was just because I was gonna use my voucher for tomorrow.
Gotcha.
but they wouldn't allow me to use it for tomorrow. They said they only, like, I could use it today, but they said due to like over, overabundance of people leaving tomorrow, that it's going to
everybody's going to be leaving Phoenix tomorrow, right? From what I understand, it's
yes. So I made the right choice. It's pretty chill in here. I feel like Tom Hanks in that movie Terminal.
You're stuck. You're just stuck there.
I'm just going to live here for 12 hours. All right.
So this week is Valentine's week. And so that means nothing, but it did occur to me that I should talk about, something to do with the realm of love. And of course, instantaneously, sex was the first thing that popped up into my head. So I was like, okay, well, there's enough songs in the Dave Matthews Band Almanac to just like pick pretty much anything and it'll work.
Just throw darts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just whichever one, but I wanted to pick one that maybe wasn't as common. At first, I think I shared with you, I wanted to do Cornbread, and then I moved to 7 and I was like, yeah, these are just so good. And it's exactly what I want to talk about, but I don't want to talk about a song that most everyone kind of just knows everything about. So let's pick one out that's maybe a little less heard. And so Hunger for the Great Light was the song I picked. So break it down for me. Tell me what you thought, number one, when I said that song. Were you initially like aware of the song? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Initially I was
through that.
Yeah, of course. I will say thank you for not choosing Crash Into Me on Valentine's Day. I feel like that would have been, everybody could have seen that one coming.
No.
So when you said Great Light, I got really excited because I love the Stand Up album. And I don't think it gets enough credit as an album.
Sure.
I think it's kind of underrated amongst the community. And I just think Great Light for me, like musically as a drummer and singer, it's a pretty simple song.
Sure.
Nothing outlandish when it comes to rhythms or the way it was put together by the boys. But I will say, the guy who produced that album, Mark Batson, predominantly a hip hop producer from what I've understood throughout the years. He does more. That's why on the Stand Up album, you hear more of the sample pads coming from Carter's drums. You hear more electronic kind of sounding stuff on that album, which I think added such a really good variety to the feel of the band. They've been told they sound like Trippin' Hillbillies. Obviously, we know that. And I kind of think that was their whole sound up until Stand Up,
Right.
That album came out in 2005. I was 10 years old, hadn't heard it yet. But I mean, it's such a great album. And the song has a lot of meaning to me when it comes to being in love with someone.
Right.
I think it's an excellent example of like desire. A physical desire for someone and at the same time, like a deeper desire, God's love is alive inside, all this kind of stuff, I've shared this feeling with human beings before. And the song has always kind of spoken to me in that way. For me, it's like a desire coupled with being like so in love with someone that you want to serve them.
Right.
More than they're serving you, Right. The great example of that in the song is when I go down on you, I want to blow your mind. We obviously all know what that means. We're all adults here. And I think like being able to show love in a way where you can make someone crazy is a big part of Dave's love music. I think
everyone goes for that kind of love. Like who doesn't want someone that desires them that deeply, right? Or has that much interest in making you like completely happy. So it's the kind of love that most people like, I think, seek out, but it is it's not found very often. And so maybe that's why he wrote about it, or maybe he found it. Like, what do you think? From what I understood, Stefan was the one that kind of came out with the beat line or the basis of the song and then kind of handed it over to Dave and said, put some lyrics. Let's make it about sex. And so from what I understand, Dave wrote the lyrics to the song. How do you think he even starts this process as a musician? Like, how do you get to a song like this one?
Well, and
hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage. Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
That's a great question. And I think, and I've heard on some documentaries that I've watched that Dave was so enamored with Ashley when they first started dating. And when they first got together in the early 2000s, I think they were writing Crash, maybe. I forget which album they were writing. But he said that every time Ashley would come in the studio, they would see Dave light up like a Christmas tree. And he would just be totally obsessed with her. And then when she would leave, this man's writing the biggest album of his career. And when she would leave, he would get super sad. So, I mean, I think that kind of shows like where his heart is at with your partner. And I really think, you know, he's a unique guy, unique songwriter. He learned music differently than a lot of American artists that we're used to listening to, you know, being over in South Africa with the natives over there. And like his fathers, you know, his parents were Quakers. And so I think he comes from a songwriting point. I think he comes from a place of deep thought. He's so effectively able to put words to things that are usually feelings, you know. I think he's really good at it. And he's one of the best ones I know that's ever existed, that's able to take how feeling, an emotion, a desire, just the essence of something and tell a story with it. I think it's incredible. You know, I know his process is a complicated one. I think we've seen his process evolve over the years. I mean, we've seen songs born on stage with just a jam, which as a musician, that is how a lot of songs are born. You go and you get together with some guys and they end up being your best friends, and the music you make with them is just so, not to be punny, but so right, you know? And you start having this deeper connection where you can feel where the person's going to go with the song. So I think Dave has a really, really good, that's such it's an understatement. He's got such an amazing backdrop of people that are playing for him and with him. And so when you're able to create a song from that place with people like Carter Beauford, Stefan Lessard, and, you know, Coffin and Rashani and Buddy and all the guys, like even the people that have guested with them in the past, you know, it makes it easier to be able to put those lyrics to it because you got the emotion part down. You're able to kind of create a foundation with the music. And then, I mean, because some people do it differently. Some people create foundations with lyrics. I think it's way easier to write a song if you already have a melody down. And like you said, Stefan started working on the song and handed it off to Dave. And I believe that Dave's disgusting, gross, dirty, sexy obsession with his woman, he's able to birth lyrics like this. But I will say though, like a lot of these lyrics, you know, in a lot of these songs, they involve sex heavily. Mm-hmm. And I think when you want to be considered a serious songwriter, because Dave's had to climb out of some stereotypes, you know, and I think he's finally starting to get the recognition kind of globally that he deserves from people who are like, oh, you mean the crash into me guy? You know, you don't hear that as much as you used to anymore.
Except my husband on the last episode was like, who is Dave Matthews? And he's like, he's the guy that sings Crash. I was like, no, wrong answer.
Yeah, Justin. Oh man.
I know. Anyways.
Yeah, and I think there's a renaissance with it. It's been 30 something years since they started. And I think younger people, I'm 27. So they've been playing shows longer than I've been alive. They've all,
God damn, so 27. It makes me so happy to know that 27-year-olds are into the Dave Matthews Band. So let me be one of the older generations to say thank you for being into really cool music. And I hope that, that you just keep teaching people that the 90s and I don't want to say the 90s because they are still putting out music and it's 2023 and they're putting out music that is really good. I mean, some of it may be classified as better than the beginning. It just depends on who you talk to. But thank you for tapping into something that's older than yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, well, and I think thank you for having me. I felt so welcome in this community, and my mother is a big 80s hair metal gal. So the other band I've seen not even close to half as many times as Dave, but I've seen them like a dozen times has been Def Leppard. And they're great. I love Rick Allen, one-armed drummer. Yeah. He was kind of my first drum hero. I was like, who is this guy? He doesn't have two arms and he's playing drums in a band. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. But tell me just a short story on how did you physically get into music? What's the story on how you became a drummer and where it's taken you now? I'll have to say, I do want you to talk about Denver 2021, because I believe that's right. That's when my husband and I first saw you at a gig where you were performing. And we still to this day, we talk about your performance because it was one of those, we're sitting there, we're talking to everyone. And then the room was just quiet and all we could hear were you guys on stage. And we were like, what the fuck are they doing? I mean, it was so good. So good. So tell us what got you into music? How did drumming, what does your history look like? And then what are you up to these days?
Yeah. I remember I was 7 years old. Even before that, 5 years old, from when you first start to get those, core memories. My brother is 10 years older than me. I'm the youngest of 3 children, but I got to give huge props to my mom. She taught me music that I don't necessarily love anymore, Yeah. But I will never forget. I was one of the things that really made me want to play music. I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and the album Songs About Jane by Maroon 5 had come out. Uh-huh. And my mom would just cruise around the neighborhood and listen to music. That was a way of her to kind of relieve some stress and to get out of the house. And we would just go drive around and she'd pop on an album and we'd listen to the whole album. And so I remember hearing those songs and thinking, man, I want to do what these guys are doing. What is this stuff? And it was just kind of birthed out of that. And I was a music minister for a long time. But the way that happened for me was I was in a youth group at a church. I was a young kid in this youth group. It was a big youth group and I was in 5th grade and I wasn't even supposed to be in there, but I'm always sneaking into pits that I'm not supposed to be in.
Yep.
And I remember there was a little electronic drum set, and this was probably the next year. So I was 9 years old. And I remember, one of the guitar players there saw that I had an interest and he kind of took me there. We would do a youth group thing every Friday night where it would just be a big hangout. And it was a big church, really big church. Yeah. Every church in Houston is a big church.
Sure.
I remember the first drums I played, they were Roland, little crappy electronic drums, just black hockey puck looking things. And from the moment that I did it, I knew that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And that sounds dramatic, but it's something that you fall in love with something. And as soon, it's almost like Dave for me. As soon as I heard the band, I knew that this was for me, And so I just kind of naturally progressed. I never got lessons or anything on the drums. The next year in 6th grade, I signed up for my high school band and I really wanted to play the saxophone for some reason. I didn't even know who Leroy was yet, but I should have. But I wanted to play saxophone, and my band director, he had heard some rumors about me because I was already getting pretty good at drums for my age. Wow. I was just playing every Friday night. And then eventually my parents bought me a little cheap $200 drum set that was used and all beat up, and they hated me for about 3 years because I was in my room just beating the shit out of those drums for 8 hours a day. As soon as I hear my dad get home, I'll be like, I should stop now. Because I was not that good yet. I was getting there, but it was rough. So I signed up for band, and then, I have to credit 2 men in my life who are still really big mentors for me. I went to a small school in Southeast Texas called Anahuac High School, and two guys named Cliff Brown and Kevin Heckman were the band directors there. And, you know, Cliff, he's still a mentor of mine. Like I said, he taught me how to play rudimentary drums, like percussion and snare drum and that kind of stuff. And Kevin Heckman was the lead band director, and he was so devoted to this band. He wanted something good out of this small town so badly because it's a pretty desolate town. It's known for its meth and alligators.
It's good
So
to be known for meth.
meth and gators. So that's a pretty cool combo.
Sounds like you're going to die in that town.
Oh, you're gonna live before you die, though. I'll tell you what. No, it's there's a reason I live in Denver, Colorado now. Anyway, but yeah, they wanted so badly to make something great, and so they did. And they took a group of like 80 kids, and we went from 8th grade to 12th grade. It was just a mix of all of us, and we got 5th place in the state marching contest first time.
Holy crap.
And the drumline was ranked top 5 also. And then the second time we went back was my freshman year of high school. And we got 4th that year, and the drumline got number 1 in the state. And I was the section leader for that drumline.
Oh my God.
I think that was when it started to the gears started turning for me. I was like, this is something that I might be able to actually do in life, not just something for fun. You know, they instilled a lot of passion into it. And that was right around the same time I heard Carter Beauford play for the first time, and everything changed for me in that moment right there. So after that, I continued with music ministry for a while, and then I just listened to Dave all day long, and I would study Carter. I must have watched the Under the Table and Drumming video hundreds of times, literally, maybe 1,000 or two. It's, it really kind of shaped where I am today. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started and what brought me to music. And then I joined choir my junior year for fun and realized that, hey, I can sing a little bit too. And
that's how you discover it, is you join choir and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I always knew I could carry a pitch, I could hear. I knew what to listen for, what was good and what was bad with music, with vocals. So I was like, all right. But I will say video games played a big role technically in me being a singing drummer now. I'm in 5 projects in Denver, and one of them is called The Storytellers, and it's a band I lead, sing, and play drums for. I'll get into a little more of that in a little bit, but I was 13 and I bought the Beatles Rock Band. I don't know if you remember the game Rock Band or Guitar Hero, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very enjoyable stuff. But I remember I would be playing the drums, and I was like, you know what? I think I could sing and drum at the same time while I'm doing this. And so I bought the little mic stand and the little tiny microphone, and I would just set it up next to me, and I'd play Ringo's parts and sing John and Paul's parts. And
wow,
that's when I really fell in love with that concept. I knew that I wanted to be a front man, but still play the drums, which you don't see it a lot, especially anymore. I mean,
right.
The other night, Anderson .Paak opened up for Dave in Phoenix, and he's one of the very few singing drummers that are current. So that was a really amazing experience to be able to see him do his thing. He did a DJ set, but he got on the drums the last couple of songs, and it was awesome.
How do you develop that talent? How do you go from I'm going to be a drummer to I'm also going to be a singing drummer? Does that have to come naturally to be able to be that coordinated, or is it something that can be taught and learned?
I definitely think... I don't like to say that anything is unteachable, especially in the realm of music.
Right.
I especially don't like to think that because I'm trying to learn guitar right now and it's kicking my ass. But the people that I've talked to mostly that are in the same situations as I am, singing drummers, they've kind of all said the same thing. Drumming is kind of like breathing. Yeah. And it's like chewing gum and walking at the same time.
Gotcha.
It's really, because drumming, I don't even have to think about it anymore unless I'm playing Dave stuff. But drumming, I just do it and I can feel it, and I know there's so much muscle memory stored in my body from the last 20 years of playing drums. And so it all kind of came naturally. And singing is a challenge for sure. That's one of the hardest things that I've done successfully so far. But it's one of those things where drumming, I'll forget that I'm drumming on stage sometimes.
Wow.
I'll get lost in it. And I think maybe because being a singer, being a vocalist is a fresher experience for me, but I will get emotional on stage, singing, obviously not showing it, but the power of lyrics and melody and
Absolutely.
The original form of music coming from us, it really has affected me in such a great way. And I mean, Dave's kind of behind all of it too. At the end of the day, everything rotates back to Dave for me.
Shout out to Dave Matthews. I always like to insert
that guy.
Hey, Dave, if anybody actually, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Like, if you're listening and you like Dave and you want tell me why you love Dave. I love listening to different perspectives of why this band has like made a difference in your life and like how you found it, why you're still hanging on to it. What's your why? And everyone has a different why story. And I love that.
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
Yeah, so I was going through a pretty rough breakup the first time I heard Dave. It was my first love, and there was a new song on the radio from a new album, and it was called Why I Am. And I was like, this is interesting. I heard the intro and I was like, holy shit. Like, the music is what really drew me in. I think it was Carter at first. I distinctly remember, shout out Jessica Krasinowski, a good friend of mine from Houston. She's my sister's age. She's a little older than I am. And I loved Jason Mraz when I was getting into high school and stuff. And she loved Dave, and Jason and Dave played a few shows together.
That's right.
And I remember I tried to listen to Dave and I was like, I don't I hate this guy's voice. I don't like this shit. And it's just so funny what a couple of years of like perspective can do.
For sure.
But for me, the big reason I'm so in love with these guys now is, the dedication of the craft is a big part of it as a musician on the musical side. I have trouble staying with the same band for 6 months. I can't imagine 32 years of pretty much the same rotation of guys,
Yeah.
It's really impressive. And anybody who's left the band, God rest the boy's soul. But in my humble opinion, the only other person that's left the band really has been Boyd, and he did it to himself,
Yeah. Ultimately.
We all make those decisions that kind of pave the path for us. But for me, like, the dedication to who they are, I think like the message for me is what takes it above and beyond. There hasn't been a musical group, and this is all of my opinion, of course. There hasn't really been a group of musicians since like the Beatles who have been able to project love so well through their music. I think love is the big thing behind Dave. And, he loves us, he loves the songs, and he loves what he's doing up there. If you get as close as I do, sometimes you can see the joy on his face. He gets giddy like a little kid, man. And I feel tethered to that, and I get emotional talking about it. I'm such a little bitch.
I would I feel the same way, and I wish that I could tap into it even further. Just to yes, there's been a million interviews with Dave Matthews, but I have a list of questions that have never been asked. So Dave, when you're ready, shout out. Dave, when you're ready, here. Come on. I got a list of questions in my phone all the time. But yeah, I'd like to know, I'd really love to know what his whys have been, because of course his whys have changed over the years, right? Because when he began, he was so young and then got married, had children, and now close to, the next step is people getting married and having grandchildren and becoming a grandfather. Life
and I'm so excited to see how his music reflects that too, because something you touched on earlier, you said some people think that the new stuff is just as good, if not better than the old stuff. And I could not agree more. Like, I love their old sound, it was fantastic. I listened to a lot of shows from Tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
And those little clubs that they would play in Charlottesville. And I loved that sound too. But I think to hear Dave's vocal maturity has been a very, very interesting thing, because you go from hearing this guy who sounds 12 years old, and now he's got this big boomy voice. And I think that's really cool. But I think they're aging like fine wine. I think this new album is going to be the best one in a long time. But I know so many people who have such strong opinions about certain albums, like Every Day and Come Tomorrow, for example, are two really the big ones that I see people shitting on all the time. And I think those are two amazing pieces of music. So I don't know if I just don't get it anymore, if I don't hear the bad stuff coming out of him, but
I don't know. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. So
absolutely.
What if?
Yeah, whatever, man. I try to understand where they're coming from, and I get it. Like some of the songs on Come Tomorrow are a little mellow, I would say, probably a little. It's not the most energetic album, but you get
There's
Idea of You, and I mean, there's amazing songs on the album, and I think that's another beautiful thing about this band is they write songs 15 years ago and they put them on their album 15 years later. I think that's really cool, man. I think it's really cool.
I'm so excited to hear how a lot of these songs turn out on a studio album, because some of the songs that are finally coming out on a studio album have never been recorded in a studio and presented to us. So I'm interested. We all know that, studio versus live is going to sound different because there has to be rules and like how long it can be and whatever. And so
there's a lot of variables you have to play with in a studio. As someone I've recorded albums, I played drums on albums in Grammy-winning studios. Shout out to Evergroove Studio in Evergreen, Colorado. And there's 12 mics around everything, and it's a very abrasive kind of process, and it can be very stressful. So the fact that they're able to come out with the music so smooth is a miracle in of itself. When you hear it live, it's chaos in the best way, a lot of the time. But, I think we're seeing some examples. I think Madman's Eyes is one of the best songs that they've written and released in a decade or so, probably.
I love it. I love the beat. I like how very different it is from one song to the other. It's just like it completely changes the culture around you. Like it sounded
so good the other night, man.
I would guess so.
It was so good because that's the first time I've seen it in the pit, I believe. No. I saw it at the Gorge, I think. I don't know if I was in the pit for that night. I was only in the pit 2 nights at the Gorge last year. Dang it.
Oh goodness. You had to suffer through, huh?
I had 3 nights. I had to sleep in gold camping and be on the rail 2 nights. It was a bummer.
Holy shit. Well, you want to hear something big? First time I've talked. I'm going my first time this year.
Oh,
to the Gorge.
My God.
I've never been. I'm scared to death. I'm not even planning it. I have a friend planning it because I'm like, I don't know what to do.
You're going to have friends all over you, man. I'm going to be there with quite a few of my buddies. We're going to have a camp in Gold called Camp Nemesis, which is an inside joke that we have.
Okay. You'll have to share that with me.
Oh, I will, just not on this podcast. But
no.
But yeah, so excited. Are you and Justin both going, or just you?
No, it's just me. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm going with the crew, and so I'm excited. I'm honestly petrified because it's just like what we have to do this.
Last year I jumped off a cliff and did it, and I landed in New River. That's what it felt like, man. It was one of the most incredible experiences I've had seeing this band.
And that's what I've heard. Gorge. Over and over. I've never heard a negative comment about it. And that's rare.
I go to the Gorge every day versus Mexico, to be honest. But that's, some people prefer Mexico. I
can't say. I'd have to experience both and then give a full report.
That's true. I've never been to the Riviera, but I'm sure I just when Carter's not around, I just want to cry. That's all.
I get that, and that's what I've said in the past about I would not like to go there because I really want to save my money to where I can listen to the full band. And so after I got knocked down about 25 times for saying that, and like the intimacy that I'm paying for and all of that, I was like, okay. So it's just a different kind of show.
I've seen Dave and Tim in a tiny little theater in Sugar Land, Texas, and it was amazing. I mean, it was the only D&T show I've been to, though, and I've been to 55 other shows that have all been full band now. So I definitely have a preference, but there is a level of like being close to the guys. And I think just like watching an acoustic duo, no matter where or what, like kind of like you were saying when you saw us, like, which I'll touch on that in a minute too, but you feel like they're just normal dudes at that point. And I think that's,
well, they are.
Exactly. And you see them on this big stage and there's 30,000 people screaming at them. And it's like, you forget that these guys are not Greek gods, you know?
They are not. Just
they're human beings.
David's up there. Everybody knows him, yelling at him.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting. So I think there's definitely a dynamic with the duo shows that I could see myself digging. But that night in Colorado, the Denver 21 shows. So every year that they play in Denver, come to Denver this year, guys. Damn it.
You can't. No, I can't believe they skipped over you guys.
We might get an October, December date or something. I'm thinking maybe Ball Arena where the Nuggets play would be cool. I'd like to see them indoors in Denver. I like them indoors. I like the indoor sound.
Yeah,
they're one of the only bands that can fill up an arena with sound. It's hard to do, man. There's a lot of emptiness when you go see a lot of bands where things are trebly or whatever. Anyway, I was playing every year when Dave plays Denver. There's a little brewery about half a mile from the venue called Halfpenny Brewing. And it's a great local brewery. They make amazing beer there. It's a really cool vibe. You know, it's one of those like shopping mall gems, you know, that like shop and strip kind of thing that just nobody is the wiser. And then you go there and it's really impressive. And there are so many breweries like that here in Colorado, which is a big reason why I love the beer culture here. It's really cool. But that was I think I did it in 2019, but it was so like last minute and just kind of thrown together that I did not get the performance that I wanted to out of it.
Right.
And then so the next year available, because 2020 wasn't real. That didn't happen.
Right. It did. Just not with Dave.
Yes, indeed. I got together with my dear friend in Denver, Jeremy Koss.
Yeah, I love Jeremy.
Yeah, shout out Jeremy. We love you, buddy. And we kind of planned it a little better and we got more people interested and I didn't know what to expect. And then all of a sudden there's 100 Dave fans staring at you.
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcasts.
Was this day of or was this night?
Yeah, it's night. I usually do night 2 before the shows.
Okay, gotcha.
And so this was day of, and this is an hour before gates open is when I finish and the place is packed. And I remember like I had never really played Dave songs in front of Dave fans before. I play Dave songs all the time with like my cover bands and stuff, like my little bands. I play Dave all the time with those guys in front of people that was like, was that Dave Matthews? And that was really good, you know?
They're not critiquing you though.
No, and it scared the shit out of me and I wasn't expecting to be scared. I don't really get stage fright or anything. I get nervous before gigs every single time, but it's usually like a 5-minute thing. And then first note I play, it's gone. But this time I found myself like having panic attacks in between songs. I'm
and
like,
you killed it. You killed it, Austin. So whatever that nervous energy was, it was like feeding the beast. You killed it.
I have definitely found a way to harness that and try to turn it in because I used to get that feeling when I was playing no matter what. But like this Dave stuff, it's a whole other animal. And it's like you can play Grateful Dead songs all day long and they'll sound the same. Sorry, everybody. But, you know, there are very intrinsic parts of Dave songs that you got to really nail if you want to do it right. And luckily, I'm not tasked with the burden of playing guitar and singing those songs because that is a nightmare. It's easier to play drums and sing Dave songs, which sounds hilarious because Carter is a monster, but I feel bad for my guitar players. They get really upset with me because of the way Dave plays. They're like, dude, my hand hurts. My hands are killing me. And I'm like, we're on song 2 right now, buddy.
So what was the mashup that y'all did towards the end that night? You like twisted up a whole bunch of songs together, and it was unlike anything I had ever heard before. And so that's what kind of made it stick out. And I know I'm putting you like on the spot. So, hey, what was that? You know, but what?
No, I know
what
exactly
was
I know exactly what it is.
It was so good. It was so good.
I appreciate it. That's, it was my closer for a very long time. And I don't play it very much anymore just because I kind of burn myself out on it. But it starts off as Watchtower. So we play Watchtower, and then there are so many songs in the world that can use that same kind of chord progression. And I got really stoned with my buddy one night, and we were playing that song. We were practicing Watchtower, and a lot of it, like I said, it all goes back to Dave. I remember Dave mixing up the Led Zeppelin outro. That's the first time I had heard anybody do that with that song, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so I kind of took a lot of my favorite songs that were in the same key, in the same realm, and added it to it. I do the Remedy by Jason Mraz in there, Staying Alive in there, like Dave does, and Fly Like an Eagle sometimes. There's quite a few. I do Bayou's in it. Dave Bigler's favorite song, Shake Me Like a Monkey. I like to throw that one in there sometimes. And it just kind of evolved to where I was just, whatever song would pop in my head next, I'd do it. And then, or unless I was too drunk, and then I would just go into the Led Zeppelin
all together.
Because it falls down on the Led Zeppelin thing, the outro, and then we wind on down the road. I end there every time. So there's a point. And I usually hop out of the mashup when my guitar players look at me sideways, because it's a very repetitive song, and I'm sure it gets very boring. Sure. It's the most fun I could possibly have. And if you're listening, it's great. But as a guitar player, it's like A minor, F, G, F for 35 minutes. Wow. But yeah, I like to do the mashup stuff. I've gotten a few more of those under my belt now. You'll have to check it out soon.
Well, definitely. Absolutely. If Colorado is on the fall tour, then you'll have to make arrangements to go back to what was it? The Copper?
The half penny.
No.
Half penny.
The half penny. I don't know what I'm talking about. The half penny night before night 2. We're going to listen to a mashup. Well, Austin, thank you so much for being willing to come onto this podcast and tell us everything about Phoenix and the upcoming tour, and then just who you are as a fan and a person. And we're so excited to get to know everyone. Dave fans are the best people, truly. So many talents, so many kind people.
Well, I've met so many different fan bases, and this is the one, Yeah. This is the one. I would like to touch on one more thing, if that's all right.
Go ahead. Absolutely.
Because I took some notes here when I got to the airport, and something else I wanted to touch on. It has to do with the hunger for the great light. Like I said, I've loved the stand up album for so long, and it has a lot to do with Mark Batson. And I mean, I think in light of the new album coming out and seeing people either ecstatic or upset about songs that are on this album that have been played that we've already heard, and versus songs that we hadn't heard yet, Do you remember the Batson Sessions? You ever heard of that?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. So everybody talks about the Lily White Sessions, which was the album that was never to be.
Right.
And Lily White got his redemption. And so Mark Batson, right after the Lily White Sessions, Dave and the band came in the spring. I think it was April 21st, 2002, maybe. I could be wrong on the year, but it was definitely 421. I remember that. And then they came back in the fall and recorded. So they recorded 2 sessions with Mark Batson years before Stand Up was released. And some of the songs that were birthed in those recording sessions, this is just fun facts for everybody. Kill the King, Break Free, Sister, Idea of You, Come On, Break For It, Can't Stop, Shotgun, 27, and Cornbread were all recorded during those sessions. Yeah. And that's just something that's always blown my mind, because if somebody asked me my top 10 songs, those might be it, those might be it. The ones that never made it. Well, and then you look and we're starting to hear Break For It again, Break Free is on the album. Idea of You made that album. Come On finally made that album. Can't Stop made that album. Also Shotgun was recorded during the Batson sessions too, which I'm just so grateful.
Song, but yeah.
I mean, just the opener last year, man. Break For It, Break Free, and Shotgun.
I don't know how I got through that.
I could have gone home and never went to another show again and been
I feel the same way. I feel the same way after I left.
And it was in Austin, and that's my name, it's my name. Yeah. I'm Austin. It was in
can't top Austin in Austin.
Yeah, you sure can't. And that was one of, you talk about the older generation, but it's really, I'm the younger generation of Dave fans, and I am few and far between. I mean, there are so little of us, it's painful.
Well, I have to say, you're the first 20 something I've ever met. So
yeah, I find myself on the DMB singles page, like thinking like, no, I can't do that. Let's do it.
Well, it's going to be a bunch of 50-year-old women.
I know, I'm kind of into it. Never mind. Hey, ladies, if you're listening. But
on my last pod, the lady was like, I'm looking for a single male somewhere between 55 and 65 with good health insurance. So if you need to do a shout out for love,
I don't want love, man. Y'all can have it. No, but I will say at that Austin show, I met one of my best friends now. His name is Mitch Ennis, and he lives in Boston. Let's go Sox.
Awesome.
Don't know what I mean.
I can't even attempt to say.
Wow, that was the most Arkansas way I've ever heard the word Boston uttered. You sounded like Sling Blade.
I'm from Texas. Like, I don't know if you know that, but I was born in
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
you sound like you're from Arkansas. I don't know if you. Well, I mean,
I've lived here for a while. I don't know that there's a big difference in accents between Arkansas and Texas. I mean,
you get a little more hilly up there.
Well, we are in the Ozarks. We're like, it's like you said. Did you say Sling Blade?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Do you like mustard with your taters too?
I wouldn't say no. Well, I literally think this Zoom is about to cut us off. So, Austin, thank you
has been awesome.
So much. Absolutely. And of course, you're welcome back to any other episode. So safe travels home. I hope that you make it back to Colorado safely. And we'll see you on the road, Austin.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good. Yeah. And if you ever want a panelist, third guest or anything, little mini things, let me know. I'd love to contribute anytime.
Yeah. You passed the test. You did a solo first. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Safe travels to you. Yes. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, Austin.
Yes, ma'am. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, the space between. It's your favorite Denver musician, Austin Williamson. So the song that got me hooked on Dave Matthews Band, I'm 28 years old, so about, 10, 11 years ago, 17 years old, going through a breakup, thinking about the dichotomy of life, driving through downtown Houston, and I was listening to a radio station there, and a song came on, and it was called Funny the Way It Is, and that song introduced me to the band. I'd heard songs before, but that was the song that spoke to me the most. Funny the way it is if you think about it. I think that can apply to so many of our lives in any situation that we face. And it can be a melancholic song, but for me, it means a lot about love and how we are all citizens of this planet. And while some of us here in America may face the problems of not wanting to work or go to school or thinking it's all for naught, you have people elsewhere who value life so much because they're not given as much as we are. And I think that might be what Dave was trying to get at. And I just love it so much. And ever since then, I've been the biggest fan I know. Love you, Renae. Love the podcast. God bless you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Austin. It's interesting how each song can really touch each of us in very different ways, maybe even to the point where they mean different things to us. And I like to talk about that. And I think, obviously music is a form of art. It is art. And so oftentimes art is up for interpretation. And I think that the band gives us that freedom in these songs to be able to take it as you need it, right? You know, there may be meanings that they had behind all of that, but they're also okay with you pulling what you need out of it. And sometimes that can change, right? You know, listening to any given song 5 years ago, it may mean something completely different today. And that's a conversation that I love to have with people because, again, this band has we've met this band at different phases of our lives at different times. And what we needed at that time is often different. And it was able to fill that void, if you will, in whatever way. And so thank you, Austin, for calling in.